One of the biggest fears moms have about starting a business is that it will take time and energy away from their family. But what if the opposite is actually true? What if starting a business is one of the best things you could do for your family? Today, I want to talk about how and why this is true. Welcome to How to Quit Your Job, the podcast for moms ready to ditch the 9-to-5 and build a life and business they love. I'm your host, Jenna Reichel. Let's go. Hi, mom friends. This is episode 96 of the How to Quit Your Job podcast. We are flirting with spring if you're catching this live, and I hope everyone is thawing out and starting to feel the energy of the season. Here in Denver, Colorado, it has been a uncharacteristically mild winter, which has been amazing, but I know that has not been the case elsewhere in the States. So I hope everybody is thawing out and starting to feel the energy of the season. This upcoming spring, or spring in general, is a time of new beginnings and really getting organized. It's also a really great time for goal setting and recommitting to goals that you may have set at the beginning of the year. So winter gets a lot of goal setting hype because of New Year's resolutions, obviously, but this is actually the time of year where there's a lot less resistance naturally to taking action and starting something new. So I want to lean into that for this episode. Even though it's not quite spring yet, I want to set you up for thinking about your business goals a little differently. Because I work with moms who are at the very beginning stages of starting a business, and I find that there's usually this internal battle happening. It can feel like if we are saying yes to starting a business, we must somehow be saying no to our family. Like we'd have to make sacrifices. But I really believe that starting a business is actually a win-win for moms and their families. I have experienced it personally, which I'll share about. And I also witness the wins that my clients' families experience all the time. So let's start by talking about why we may want to start a business in the first place. There are a couple of reasons I hear all the time. Flexibility, doing something that aligns with who we are, feeling connected to our work, feeling fulfilled, a desire to create something of our own. Sometimes we are also just really unhappy in our current job for a lot of different reasons. And on the surface, it can feel like these reasons are selfish. We want more out of life. We want to feel happier or more fulfilled day to day. Sure, there's the flexibility piece, which often ties into family, but even flexibility can feel like it's about us. It will help us not feel so stressed for drop off and pickup. It will help us do what we want with our time if we had more flexibility. And again, it's easy to feel like some of these reasons are selfish. We're thinking about what a career change and stepping into a more flexible lifestyle will give us. But if we're honest with ourselves, what is motivating this more than anything is that we aren't able to be the mom that we want to be and that maybe we envisioned ourselves being. Maybe we're stretched thin on time, which makes us quicker to snap and less patient with our kids and partners. We know we could be more patient if we didn't have to clock in right at 9 a.m. Maybe we feel pressured to respond to clients after hours, or we're distracted by Slack messages on the weekends, and that makes it harder to be present with our kids. Maybe our kids notice that we're working a lot and we want a career path where we can actually check out at the end of the day. Maybe we're proud of our career and what we've built, but we know that success is now coming at the cost of our kids and our family's mental, physical, and emotional well-being. There is nothing selfish about those reasons. We are built to think about the well-being of our family unit. Starting a business is not an anomaly to that. It's actually another way that we prioritize them. Because when we aren't our best selves, they suffer. And when we are our best selves, they benefit. Starting a business isn't just about following your dream or creating the beautiful life you envision for yourself. It's 100% for your family too. This beautiful life you envision is for your family. And when you start to understand how your family will benefit, the whole thing starts to feel a lot less risky. And if not less risky, definitely more worthwhile. Not because everything will go perfectly, but because even in the process, your family will benefit. There's the benefit of having a revenue generating successful business. And then there are secondary and tertiary benefits along the way that are incredibly worthwhile. So I want to go through some of those. I have 3 that I want to talk about, and then one caveat at the end that's really important. Let's talk about the specific benefits. I think there's a saying somewhere. It's something like, when mom is happy, everyone's happy, or like happy wife, happy life. I'm not sure. But honestly, I've seen that to be very true when it comes to moms. Whether we like it or not, the energy we bring into the household holds a ton of weight. We were just discussing this in a group coaching session recently because clients were noticing this exact thing in their houses. They could see how the energy of the household shifted when their energy shifted. When mom is less stressed, more excited, more energized, more lit up, the rest of the family really feels it. It's a lot of weight and responsibility to carry, of course. And I don't say that lightly, but it's exactly why it's so important to prioritize things that light us up. Because when we wake up with that energy, when we come home with that energy, when we pick up the kids with that energy, the rest of the family feels it. There's a ripple effect in the most positive way. I recently spoke with a mom who has a demanding leadership role at a nonprofit, and she's so proud of what she's built. But her husband's income was unstable, so she carries the weight of being the person for her family, financially, emotionally, logistically, like everything. And she could absolutely tell that when she was feeling stretched thin and stressed, picking up the kids, the energy of the household changed. And that's actually why she wanted to learn about coaching, because she noticed the difference in how evenings felt on Fridays when she didn't have the commute or as many work responsibilities versus every other day of the week when she was feeling stretched thin. She said to me, "You can feel it. I can feel it in the kids on those days when I'm stressed out. I know that the weight that I'm carrying in my career and the stress that I'm carrying, they feel it." And I think we can all see this if we look closely at our own lives. One of my favorite quotes from Andre Agassi's memoir, Open, it says something about not just being the temperature in the room, but that we are the thermostat. I forget exactly how he's saying it, but I really see us moms as the thermostat. We control the temperature in the room. And I just love that analogy. We have the ability to change the temperature in the room by showing up differently for ourselves. And yes, there's self-care. Yes, there's getting alone time and delegating responsibilities. But there's also this itch to start a business and shift our career. Maybe there's deciding that we no longer want to settle for a soul-sucking job, and instead we want to really see what we're capable of. I see this happen all the time. The moment moms start focusing attention on business ideas and entrepreneurial networking conversations or any other opportunity or venture that really lights them up, everything changes. They usually haven't even quit their job yet, but everything changes because they've added something energizing to their life, something exciting to talk about. Their job is still there usually, but now it's in the background. It's their ATM, as I like to say. We appreciate it for what it is as the ATM that dishes out money, but now our energy is flowing towards something more exciting and meaningful. And that shift alone makes a huge difference in how we show up at home. The next benefit is what happens whenever you start building something new or trying something new, and that's growth. It's impossible not to grow when you start a business. It's impossible not to become an entirely different person in the best way possible when you start a business. There's so much to learn about the industry, entrepreneurship, and yourself that it's amazing how quickly you level up. I want you to think about the last time you really felt like you were learning and growing. Maybe it was a course, maybe it was even reading a nonfiction book, maybe it was a work conference that you went to that just was super inspiring and energizing. Even if the process had some discomfort, Once things started clicking or you had those aha moments, I'm sure it felt so good. You start to feel confident that you know more. You start to see yourself differently. Growth is something that we are built for. And stagnation, which is the opposite of growth, feels terrible. I'm sure many of you listening can relate to feeling stagnant in your 9 to 5 or having had the experience at some point of feeling stagnant in your career. I remember working at a large company when I was in corporate that grew really quickly. And at one point, it became clear that there weren't enough leadership roles for the number of entry level employees who wanted to advance. And so many people felt stuck. The company tried adding layers and new titles and pay structures, but people still felt like it was a band-aid. They wanted to actually learn and grow. That desire is natural. So if you're feeling stagnant, stepping into something new where you'll be challenged and evolve is one of the best things you can do for yourself and your family. I always say that entrepreneurship and motherhood are two of the greatest personal development journeys in disguise. You think you're signing up to learn tools and strategy, and you do, but you also uncover so many things about yourself. Insecurities you didn't even realize were there, the fear of putting yourself out there, imposter syndrome, how much you worry about other people's opinions. But as you work through those things, something incredible happens. Your confidence grows. What once felt big and scary becomes normal and doable. Your self-concept evolves, which is just the story you have about yourself or your thoughts about yourself. And as all of those things grow and evolve, you show up at home as a stronger, more energized version of yourself. And again, your family feels that too. They absolutely benefit from that evolution and that leveling up. And there's another beautiful side effect of all this. When your kids see you trying something new, challenging yourself and going after your goals, they get permission to do that too. I want to talk about the third benefit. There's another benefit that surprises a lot of moms. When you start a business, you also learn how to add something to your life without maxing yourself out. I like to think of time as a container. No matter how big that container is, it's full. It's always full. I don't recall a time in my life when I felt like I had all the time in the world. When I was working full time and earning my MBA, I remember thinking that once I graduated, life would feel so open and free. I'd have so much free time. And honestly, when I graduated, I felt that way for about a week. And then the container filled up again. And that was before kids. This is somehow the human condition of our generation. We are wired to feel busy. But when you intentionally add something meaningful to your life, something that fills you up, you're forced to develop a new skill. You stop operating in chaos, you start operating with systems. I recently interviewed a client of mine, Nicole, on episode 94 of the podcast. She has more on her plate now than she ever had before. She's working full time. She has a toddler. She's spending so much time in her consulting business. She's signing more clients, but she feels more calm and in control than ever. And that's not an accident. It's the result of learning how to manage time and mind intentionally. And when we operate from calm instead of chaos, our families feel that difference. Kids especially feel it. Think about the difference between a rushed morning and a calm one. You can feel the tension immediately when we're rushing from place to place and getting the kids to quickly eat and trying to get them out the door. But when systems are in place, mornings can feel completely different. Even if you have 4 daughters going to 4 different places, like one of my clients, it's possible. Now, there's one caveat, a huge caveat to all of this. There are countless benefits to starting a business, but there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. And I know that might sound surprising coming from me because I usually do say there's no right way to do anything. But here's what I mean. The right way to start a business is to do it with attention to time management and mind management. Time management means systems that ensure building your business does not come at the expense of your family. You aren't burning the midnight oil every night. Okay, you aren't hustling yourself into exhaustion. Family time is planned intentionally. You have structure that allows you to get things done efficiently. Because if you don't have systems in place, entrepreneurship can absolutely become overwhelming, but it doesn't have to. Okay, the same goes for mind management, which is a concept I talk a lot about on this podcast. You need a way to check your brain when it starts offering you thoughts like, I'm not good enough. Who do I think I am? This definitely won't work. Starting a business doesn't have to be mentally exhausting. It can actually be energizing, but that only happens when your mind is in the right place. And your mind can only get in the right place if you are intentional about mind management as you start this process. But without the time systems and the mind management, you're starting a business the wrong way, 100%. And the benefits we talked about today won't happen. They won't be realized. They won't be felt because you'll feel more stressed, more stretched thin, more reactive. But when you build a business the right way, you become a calmer, more energized version of yourself. You're lit up by your work. You're excited to talk about the things that you're doing, and your family feels that. So if you've been thinking about starting a business, I want you to consider this possibility. What if it's not something that takes away from your family? What if it's something that actually makes your family stronger? What if it makes you a better version of yourself that your family then feels on a day-to-day basis? What if the process of building something of your own helps you feel more energized, more confident, more present, and more in control of your life and time? Because when that happens, again, the whole family benefits. They benefit from the growth, they benefit from the calm, they benefit from the version of you who is excited about her life again. And if you've been listening and thinking like, I want that, but I have no idea how to actually do it without burning myself out, or I've only seen other people do it and burn themselves out and sacrifice their family, or time management and mind management seem great, but I have no idea what to do with that information. I want you to know that starting a business without burning yourself out is exactly the work I do with my clients. We set up the systems that provide such a strong foundation to go for these goals in the right way. And then we get to work on bringing it to life. And that work is so much fun. If you're tired of trying to figure everything out on your own, if you aren't making progress and are feeling a sense of urgency to create change in your life right now, if you've been feeling stagnant and know you need a supportive nudge to get things going, I'd love for you to schedule a 1-hour consultation with me. The conversation alone, I promise, can be a huge breakthrough. I met with a mom a few weeks ago who wasn't ready to invest in coaching, but who felt so activated by our conversation that she emailed me a few days later to share that she actually started her business and had paying clients just a few days after our conversation. All of that from one conversation. And when I asked her during the conversation what inspired her to get on the call, she said she binged the podcast and knew she needed to take another step to keep momentum going. And she was so right. She now has paying clients, which is fantastic. And she's building the thing. Again, all from conversation about how to keep moving forward. Okay, so I'd love for you to schedule a consultation with me. That link is in the show notes, jenna.coach/96. Or you can go to my website at any time, jenna.coach, and there's a button in the top right corner to schedule. I'd love for that to be your next step. If you're loving the podcast, if you're soaking up the action items and you want a real person to talk to, a back and forth conversation about your business ideas and what's next for you, please do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, and schedule that. And if this episode resonated with you, if you know other moms who are also on the fence about starting businesses, please share the podcast with them. And please also hit the follow button so you are reminded of new episodes coming out each week. This podcast is a little coach in your pocket, cheering you on. And it's also easy as moms to forget that these resources exist. I'm here every week, and subscribing is an act of accountability for yourself to remind you that your goals are important, they are doable, they benefit the family, and there's resources to show you how to do it without sacrificing your family, without burning out, to do it in a way that energizes you. Okay, mamas, go forth and start those businesses. But please do it with systems and intention so that you and your family experience all the amazing benefits that there are to you having more flexibility and doing something that lights you up and feeling confident and losing the imposter syndrome and putting yourself out there in meaningful ways. You got this. I'm here for you. Follow the podcast, schedule a consultation, take that next step. You're worth it. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of How to Quit Your Job, a mom's guide to creating a life and business you love. If you want to learn more about how I can help you stop making excuses and start making moves, head on over to www.jenna.coach. I'll see you next week.